When Sarah first mentioned inviting her ex, Dylan, to our anniversary dinner, I thought she was joking. I laughed awkwardly, waiting for her to admit it was just a bad joke. But she didn't. Instead, she smiled and said, "Relax, Michael. It's just a trust test. Don't you trust me?" 8 years of marriage, and this was how she wanted to test it, by sharing a dinner table with the man she once loved. I wanted to argue, to tell her how ridiculous the whole idea was, but instead I nodded and played along. Not because I agreed, but because I wanted to see where it would lead. Over the next few days, Sarah was unusually cheerful. She kept talking about how mature it would be for us to prove we had nothing to hide. "It'll show we're strong enough to face our past," she said with a sparkle in her eyes. I smiled when she looked at me, but inside something felt off. That's when I came up with a quiet plan of my own. If this was truly a test of trust, then it should be fair for both sides. So I reached out to someone who deserved to know about it: Dylan's wife, Emma. Finding her on social media wasn't hard. I sent her a polite message explaining what Sarah had planned and how uneasy it made me. Emma responded quickly. She wasn't surprised. "That sounds exactly like Dylan," she said. "He always liked being admired." Then she added, "If you don't mind, I'd like to be there too. Let me come unannounced. It'll show you how they act when they think no one's watching." When the evening arrived, Sarah looked stunning. Her emerald dress shimmered under the soft lights of the restaurant. She kept asking if I was nervous. "Not at all," I said, smiling faintly. She didn't notice the extra chair at our table. Dylan arrived exactly on time, confident and smug. He hugged Sarah like they were old friends meeting after years apart and gave me a half-hearted nod. Throughout dinner, they reminisced about their college days, laughing at inside jokes while I quietly stirred my pasta. Every giggle and shared memory chipped away at the illusion of just a trust test. Then, right when Sarah leaned toward Dylan and whispered, "See? Totally harmless," a familiar voice interrupted. "Evening," Emma said calmly, stepping up to our table. "I heard there's a trust test tonight. Thought I'd come and help grade it." The air turned heavy. Sarah froze mid-laugh. Dylan's expression went pale. I leaned back in my chair, pretending to be relaxed. "If this is a test," I said evenly, "it's only fair both sides get evaluated." Emma sat down beside Dylan, crossing her arms. "Don't mind me," she said sweetly. "Carry on." The tension was unbearable. Sarah tried to laugh it off, her voice trembling. "It's not what it looks like. It was just a silly idea." Emma chuckled, but her eyes were sharp. "Of course. Like that accidental text Dylan sent you last year." The words hit like a thunderclap. Sarah's eyes widened, Dylan looked away, and my heart sank. "He texted you?" I asked quietly. "It was nothing," Sarah whispered. "Just a birthday message." Emma smiled sadly. "You two always say that." Dinner ended in silence. I paid the bill while Sarah fidgeted beside me, her once confident smile completely gone. When we got home, she finally broke down. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to prove you could trust me." I looked at her for a long moment and said softly, "If you truly were trustworthy, you wouldn't need to prove it." She cried that night, but I didn't have the energy to comfort her. Something inside me had cracked. In the days that followed, Sarah kept apologizing, saying it was all a misunderstanding. I told her I needed space. She moved in with her sister, and for the first time in years, the house was quiet, heavy but peaceful. Weeks later, Emma called to check on me. "I'm sorry it happened that way," she said. "But maybe it's better you saw the truth." She was right. Sometimes we need to see the truth laid bare before we can accept it. Months passed, and I eventually ran into Emma again at a local event. We shared a small laugh about that unforgettable dinner. "At least we passed the test," she said softly. I smiled. "Yeah, we did." Sarah and Dylan's lies had collapsed under their own weight, but honesty, between Emma and me, had quietly endured. I learned something that night. Real love doesn't need to be tested. It doesn't demand proof. It simply shows itself through respect, consistency, and quiet loyalty. And from that night forward, I promised myself never to let anyone turn love into an experiment again.